Hello, friends, and welcome back to Let's Combinate Drugs and Devices. I'm your host, Subis. Today, I'm a consultant, auditor, and trainer, and I've spent my whole career in pharma and medical devices, mostly in quality, but also in R&D and in commercialization. And in this episode, we're continuing our ICH Q or quality series with the ICH Q10 guideline, which is focused on the pharmaceutical quality system. One of the things I find interesting about ICH Q10 is that ICH Q10 actually has its roots in some of the quality system standards like ISO 9001 and ISO 9004 and ISO 13485, which is for medical devices. But it took a different approach than those ISO guidelines because both 9001 and 13485 are guidelines that you can get certified against. And in the US, ISO 13485, because of QMSR, is now the law of the land, which became effective in February of this year. But ICH took an approach where it wanted to build on the GMPs, and it also introduced this idea of phase-specific GMPs that you hear a lot about in industry. So we're going to talk about all that in this episode, so I will see you in there. Now, I wanted to start with this diagram, which is literally on the last page of the guideline. Here at the top, you have the whole pharma product lifecycle. You have pharma development, tech transfer, commercial manufacturing, product discontinuation. So sun up to sunset. The HQ10 isn't just a product development guideline and it's not a commercial guideline, but it takes you through the entire life cycle. And it's saying that the PQS applies across the whole life cycle, but this is where you start to hear the term that is kind of been coined in industry, which is phase-dependent GMPs. In other words, if you are sourcing material that is into an early clinical study, or even prior to that, if it's going into an animal study or something like that, you may have less controls, whereas if you're gearing up to do a latter phase study or you're preparing to manufacture for commercial, then in those instances, you would have the full gambit controls to the appropriate level. Underneath the life cycle, you see the GMPs, which are the foundation. This is important because the PQS is not replacing the GMP, but it's augmenting the regional GMPs to harmonize some of the expectations globally for the pharmaceutical quality system. So GMP is still your regulatory foundation for good manufacturing practices. But as the document suggests, the PQS augments those regional GMPs and adds additional expectations for the broader quality system model. Then you have management responsibilities, which you'll see goes end to end from product development to product discontinuation. And that's there stretching across the whole PQS model, because Q10 is saying that the responsibility for the pharmaceutical quality system rests with management. Leadership owns the quality management system. They own the quality policy. They need escalation pathways so that they see the issues with the criticality of them, that they're reviewing issues in management review to make sure that the system is actually working. From management responsibility, the practical cylinders of the engine of the PQS, product performance and product quality monitoring, CAPA, change management, and management review. So these are your plan, do, check, act loops within the system to make sure that you're reaching homeostasis quality system-wise. And these operationalize Q10, where you're monitoring your product and your processes and acting on that. You're investigating and you're correcting your issues and you're acting on that. You're managing your changes, making sure there's no unintended consequences and ensuring that they're managed in a way that's controlled, and you are acting on that. And then you're reviewing all of your outputs of your quality system and making sure that your system is improving and that issues are being dealt with, and you're acting on that information. At the bottom, it talks about the two key enablers of the PQS, which are knowledge management and QRM. And these are outlined in ICH Q8 for knowledge management and ICH Q9 for QRM. Now, I wanted to spot check a few sections in the document here. We'll start with section 1, because this is where the document tells you what type of document is, what its intent is. It's not a replacement, again, for GMP, but it augments it. The PQS has 3 objectives that are highlighted here. One is to achieve product realization, one is to establish and maintain a state of control, and one is to facilitate continual improvement. And so section 1 basically tells you here's the relationship between GMPs and the standard and some of the objectives. Now, in management responsibility, which is section 2 here, 2 points in the management responsibility section. One is that senior management has the ultimate responsibility, and that the pharmaceutical quality system, including management responsibilities described in this section, extends to the control and review of any outsourced activities and the quality of purchase materials. So even if you're purchasing materials or services from another company, your responsibility as a person in senior management is to extend the control into those areas as well. Section 3 goes through the different life cycle stages. That's the top of the diagram. Section 3.2 starts to go through the elements of the pharma quality system intended to enhance the GMP. The 4 are process performance and quality monitoring, CAPA, change management, and management review. And then each one explains what you need to do for that specific quality system element. And it has a table describing the phase-dependent GMP controls. So what does the application of process performance and product quality look like in development or during tech transfer or during commercial manufacturing or during continuation? Section 4 is focused on the continuous improvement of the PQS. This is where it talks about management review, looking at what are some of the inputs of management review, including the quality system data, including some of the external stuff like changes in regulations, guideline standards, innovations that might need to change. So looking at your product portfolio that's coming through the pipe and making sure that your system is being updated to deal with it, changes in business environment and objectives, mergers and acquisitions and quality system enhancements needed there, and changes in product ownership, where sometimes products are, with mergers and acquisitions, sold to a company, bought by a company. You need to have the outcomes of your management review outlined and that they're appropriately documented. So you do the review and then you make improvements or you add more resources or you revise your objectives and policy, and you make sure that you're documenting it in a way that is timely and effective and communicating it across. So that is ICH Q10. Simply put, I just wanted to walk you through the guideline, not go through a line-by-line review, and we will go into ICH Q11 in the next episode. If you have any questions, send me an email at subi@letscombinate.com or feel free to comment, and I will see you in the next episode.